Before we start our program, please join me in a moment of silence in memory of Hall of Famer Steve Krajewski, who passed away in January, and also for Atkind Award recipient and longtime Hall of Fame committee member Dean Cinto, who passed away unexpectedly just last month. Thank you. Good evening and welcome. And for those of you who are alumni, welcome back to Eastern Connecticut State University and the 31st Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I am Scott Smith, Chair of the Hall of Fame Committee, and it is truly an honor to stand before you today as we celebrate the individuals who have made a profound impact on the storied history of the Eastern Connecticut Athletics program. Before we introduce our 2025 honorees, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the returning members of our Hall of Fame family who have returned to take part in our entrance ceremony. Please welcome back Hall of Famers Ariel Cooper Porter, Amy Golis, co-founder of the Hall of Fame, Bill Holowati, Rick McCarthy, David Nicholson, Molly Rathbun, John Rabano, Tammy Schandelmeyer, Dan Swichenko, Cynthia Walls-Washburn, David Yo, and Bonnie Edmondson. The members of the Eastern Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame. And I'm sorry, Patrick Amendalia has made it as well. Sorry, Patrick. And now to introduce our 2025 honorees. Unable to be with us this evening due to illness, our 2025 Little East Conference Hall of Fame inductee, Volleyball Hall of Famer Mariana Capamola Linehan. Next, our 2025 Michael A. Atkind Exceptional Service Award recipient, former Eastern Electrical Shop Supervisor David R. Millette. And now the members of the 2025 Eastern Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame induction class and their presenters. Our first inductee, softball athlete from 2009 to 2012, Priscilla M. Alicea Piero. Priscilla's presenter is former Eastern assistant softball coach Peter Managia. Our second inductee, swimmer from 2007 to 2011, Amy M. Arisco-Jeriak. Amy's presenter is former assistant swimming coach and Eastern Hall of Famer, Amy Golis. Our third inductee, cross-country and track and field athlete from 2011 to 2016, Lee A. Kadanak. Lee's presenter is his former Eastern teammate, Cooper Goslin. Our fourth inductee, lacrosse athlete from 1999 to 2002, Dwayne J. Coles. Dwayne's presenter is his former high school lacrosse coach, Mike Epstein. Our fifth inductee, basketball athlete from 2009 to 2014, Michael J. Garrow. Mike's presenter is Eastern men's basketball coach Bill Geithner. The 2025 honorees of the Eastern Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame. Thank you, everyone. You now may take your seats. And now to share some welcoming remarks, Eastern's president, Dr. Karim Ismaili.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Eastern Connecticut State University for our 31st Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Tonight, we honor the remarkable student athletes, coaches, and staff whose talent, perseverance, and warrior spirit have defined excellence on and off the field. This event reminds us of what Eastern athletics is all about: commitment, teamwork, and pride in representing this university with integrity. Our honorees tonight embody these ideals, and their accomplishments have left an indelible mark on our campus and in our history. To our inductees, congratulations. You are the standard bearers of what it means to be a warrior. You brought passion to every practice, grit to every competition, and heart to every moment you represented Eastern. We are proud to recognize Mariana, Priscilla, Amy, Lee, Dwayne, Michael, and also, of course, David. Before I close, I want to take a moment to thank Scott Smith, chair of the Alumni Athletics Hall of Fame Committee. Smitty, thank you for your leadership and for keeping this proud tradition alive. Each of tonight's honorees has strengthened the foundation of Eastern athletic and inspired generations to come. Tonight we celebrate those who have distinguished themselves as incredible Eastern athletes, but we also celebrate relationships, character, and community. So, my heartfelt congratulations to our 2025 Hall of Fame inductees. This is such a well-deserved recognition. Enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ismaili. The Little East Conference Hall of Fame was established in 2012 to recognize those athletes, coaches, administrators, contributors, and teams who have excelled at the highest levels of conference play. Through 12 inductions, a total of 137 individuals and 6 teams have been honored. 16 of those individuals and 2 of those teams represent Eastern. Our 2025 LEC Hall of Fame inductee, Mariana Capamola Linehan, is one of the finest volleyball players in Eastern history. While playing for Eastern Hall of Fame coach Pinky Crabtree from 2004 to 2006, she set and still holds the program record with 1,929 career digs and ranks 4th in service aces with 210. She was a 3-time All-LEC performer who was named LEC Defensive Player of the Year and the LEC Tournament's Most Outstanding Player following each of Eastern's back-to-back tournament championships in 2005 and 2006. Unfortunately, Mariana's unable to be with us this evening, So we want to congratulate our 2025 Little East Conference Hall of Famer, Mariana Capamola Linehan. Hard work, success, excellence, tradition, champions. These words have become the cornerstones of the Eastern Connecticut athletics program, and since 1986, the Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame has honored the athletes, coaches, and administrators whose passion and perseverance have built our proud legacy. The impact of these individuals continues to inspire each generation of Eastern athletes. Including tonight's honorees, 225 individuals have been recognized, receiving either the Pioneer Award, Atkind Exceptional Service Award, or the highest honor, induction into the Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame. Later this evening, or the next time you are in the Sports Center, we invite you to visit the Hall of Fame room, where plaques celebrate our 167 Hall of Famers and 58 award recipients, each standing as a permanent reminder of the excellence, tradition, and championship spirit that define Eastern athletics and what it means to be a warrior. And now it's time to celebrate that legacy as we present the Eastern Hall of Fame Awards. At the heart of Eastern athletics are the people, those who give their time, talents, and support in ways that often go unseen, yet make all the difference. Whether as individuals, groups, or organizations, their behind-the-scenes contributions have helped establish Eastern as a model of success. To honor that spirit of service, the Hall of Fame Committee created the Michael A. Atkind Exceptional Service Award. This award recognizes the same dedication and loyalty that Michael himself exemplified as a passionate volunteer, tireless supporter of all things Eastern, until his passing in 1991. Through this award, we celebrate Michael's legacy by recognizing those who, like him, go above and beyond to strengthen the tradition of excellence in Eastern athletics. Tonight, it is an honor to recognize an individual whose contributions have been essential to the success of Eastern athletics, though most of his work happened quietly and behind the scenes. For more than 3 decades, David Millett has been a cornerstone of the facilities team, always ready to step in whenever and wherever an issue arose. From testing and preparing all things electronics related at every athletic facility before the start of each season, setting up and maintaining safety netting at fields, to troubleshooting unexpected electrical issues just minutes before game time, Dave has been the dependable problem solver who made sure everything was operational and in place. His phone was always on, his response was always yes, and his commitment never wavered. For his years of reliability, dedication, and service, not only to our Department of Athletics, but to the entire university, on behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee, it is my pleasure to present the 2025 Michael A. Atkind Exceptional Service Award to David R. Millett.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody that was involved in this for me. I never expected it, but thank you.
Thank you very much, Dave. And now, it is time for our presentations to the 5 members of the 31st induction class of the Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame. Once again this year, each inductee will have a video presentation, followed by a one-on-one interview with legendary Sports Information Director Bob Molta. Let us begin with our first video presentation.
Priscilla M. Alicea Piero was the first softball player in program history to compile as many as 200 career hits and was a starting outfielder and leadoff hitter on softball teams, which averaged 36 wins and claimed 3 straight Little East Tournament championships and 2 regional titles. Priscilla was named All-Region and All-New England 7 times and is one of 2 players in program history as a first-team All-Little East Conference selection, as many as 4 times. In her career, Priscilla had 61 multiple hit games and 206 total hits.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pete Managia Jr. I served as assistant softball coach at Eastern throughout the Hall of Fame career of Priscilla Alicea Piero, one of the great softball players produced by this storied program. It is my honor to speak on her behalf today. I can distinctly recall 2 moments from Priscilla's first fall season with the program in 2008 after her all-state career at Trumbull High School. My first recollection was Coach Pepin speaking highly of Priscilla's offensive and defensive talents and also of her speed. It was just going to be a matter of us finding the correct spot for her in the field. My second recollection was the first time pitching batting practice to Priscilla. I distinctly remember she did not manage 1 hit off of me. I looked at Coach Pepin and she just shrugged her shoulders. That notwithstanding, Priscilla would leave our program as our all-time hit leader. It was not till later I realized my pitches were reaching home plate too slowly for her. She needed a more advanced challenge. And facing many of the top players in the nation throughout her career, Priscilla rose to that more advanced challenge, especially in the Little East and NCAA tournament play, helping us win 3 straight Little East tournament championships without a loss and qualify for 4 NCAA tournaments plus back-to-back Division III World Series. All that, plus more, can be seen in black and white in the record books. What cannot be seen in the statistics, however, was the daily effort Priscilla put in, both at practice and in the off-season to improve. Having spent my entire career in coaching, I can say without reservation that coaches remember everything, good and bad. But I honestly cannot recall in 4 years of having to, for lack of a better word, motivate Priscilla. As the records show, Priscilla is one of our all-time top players, and when a top player comes to practice every day and does what they're supposed to do, and more, it makes life easier for their coaches. For those who knew or even watched Priscilla play, the words businesslike, quiet, or stoic are often used as descriptors. The adjective I would use is simply competitive. There are moments where Priscilla delivered an important hit and she'd be at first base clapping her hands so no one could see her. I knew that she was not clapping her hands for herself, but she was clapping for her team being closer to victory. When you're playing alongside All-Americans and regional award winners, and there were no shortage of them in that 4-year period, many players would feel overshadowed. I do not remember this affecting Priscilla. All that mattered to her was winning. This is why I'm happy that the Hall of Fame Selection Committee has realized what we knew all along, that Priscilla was a Hall of Fame caliber player as well as a Hall of Fame person.
When you think of Priscilla, you think of consistency and you think of a competitor. I think her composure and the way she was silent but deadly when it came to her softball ability definitely sparked something in me as well.
A player on the team, Ashley Sullivan, introduced us and said she wants to come to Eastern to be a teacher, and said she was fast and she wanted to play softball. And so I said she can try out in the fall. So she did, and thank God she did. She changed our program and helped us go on to win championships.
As her teammate, we knew what we were going to get when it came to competing in a softball game. I think she played an excellent right field, and as a leadoff hitter and her behind me for 3 years, you knew we were scoring.
She originally started as an infielder in high school, so she was a shortstop. Moving her into the outfield was a bit of a challenge, but she adjusted really quickly. She was one of the best defenders that I've seen in right field.
No, I did not expect her to hit 450 and be as productive as she was offensively. And defensively, I mean, she tracked down balls in right field.
She had speed that nobody could touch. Strength that nobody even realized that she had, especially when she put it to the test. She's mentally able to focus and lock in to become successful.
She wanted to win. She had those daggers. She had that edge. And I think being a quiet leader, but also having an edge to you really was beneficial to our team.
She helped put us on the map and unfortunately got overlooked a little bit because those numbers should have been an All-American.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to present as a 2025 inductee into the Eastern Connecticut State University Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame, Priscilla M. Aliseo Piero.
Please welcome to the stage Eastern Athletics Alumni Hall of Famer, Priscilla Aliseo Piero.
Test.
Hello.
Welcome, congratulations.
Thank you.
When were you here last, back at campus?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. I haven't come back, I don't think since I graduated. Oh no, I came back for Cooper and Molly's
That's what I thought, maybe.
Hall of Fame. Yep.
When you left Eastern, just tell us a little bit about what transpired in your life after you graduated.
Yeah, so when I left Eastern, I pretty much just completely cold turkey stopped playing softball, which I've played all my life, so that was definitely a transition that I had to make. I went into teaching. I've been teaching for 12 years. I'm a math interventionist now, so I've been teaching. I got married. I have my son now, so yeah.
How did you end up at Eastern? Weren't you from the Bronx?
I was born in the Bronx, but when I was in first grade, I moved to Connecticut, and Sully, I know they mentioned in the video, Sully came here, and I actually came to watch a couple of games of hers, and I really admired how Coach Pepin ran the team. I had a lot of respect for her, and I kind of just really wanted to be a part of that. It was close enough to home. Small campus, and so, yeah, I just knew it was the right fit for me.
Well, you had an all-state career, correct, at Trumbull? Were you all-state?
Yeah.
Did you get other schools looking at you or just sending out feelers?
I didn't, no.
Really?
I don't even think Coach Pepin recruited me. I think I was just like, yeah, I wanted to go to Eastern, so we're going to go.
She said she didn't expect you to hit 450 as a freshman, did you?
No. When I was in high school, I batted righty. I do everything righty. And they switched me to lefty. I just wasn't seeing the ball. And he was like, we can't get any worse from here. Let's just switch you around. So it came so natural to me. And I had, I could read the defense. I could either bunt, slap, or hit for power. So it was, really beneficial to me. Yeah.
Did you change over in high school or in college when you went lefty?
In high school, I changed over, yep.
And then you also went from shortstop to the outfield.
Yeah.
Did you do that welcoming, or did you
Yeah.
want to make that change?
I knew coming in that they had a shortstop. Actually, Kim's here somewhere.
She is, yes.
And so I was really willing to play anywhere. I played third base before, shortstop in high school, and I played a little bit of outfield in high school too. So I was really willing to play anywhere. Anywhere I fit in, I was willing to play. I knew that I wasn't going to come in and play softball and play shortstop. So.
Well, right field's a tough position, especially when the sun's going down. It must take some adjustment to get used to right field. The ball's coming at you in a different angle.
Yeah, it was a pretty easy adjustment for me. The sun was a big one. I remember one game, the sun was right in my eyes, and they just kept hitting the ball to me. But yeah, it was an easy adjustment for me.
You guys just had phenomenal success when you came in with Molly and with Ariel and everybody else. You know, I mean, you guys only lost 3 games at home in your career, and 2 of them came in the last year. The other thing is people forget is that you played a couple of those years, you didn't have home games. Didn't you play at UConn?
Yep.
Some games?
Yep.
How did that work out? I mean, even just going to practice, where would you guys practice when you didn't have the home field?
Honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember much.
Oh, middle school.
Okay, the middle school. Yep.
You know, when I was looking at your stats back in May and June, I had always remembered you as being someone who was more of a slap hitter, and I thought the vast majority of your hits were singles, but they weren't, correct? I mean, you had a lot of extra base hits.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I could bunt. Actually, coach gave me after freshman year, she was like, you know, just read the defense and do what you want. She was like, if third base is back, you can bunt, or you can slap, you can hit for power. I actually never slapped in college. It looks like I'm slapping because, like Coach Managia said, I cannot hit slow pitching. So I am constantly just running out of the box. So it looks like I'm slapping. I don't mean to slap the ball. So yeah.
What do you remember most? I mean, you had such great success. You hit, I think you had 25 hits in 2 NCAA national tournaments. What do you remember? What are some of the reflections that you have of playing?
I definitely remember the World Series. Going there twice was an amazing experience. We had such a great team. One thing that sticks out to me is in the World Series, our very first game, we were up, I think, 5-6 runs. It's the 7th inning. There's 2 outs. We're like, we got this. And the other team, we were just making error after error, and the other team comes back, and we're like, what happened? Like 2 out. We had 1 more out to go, and we ended up losing the game. And I just remember all of us going back to the hotel in Wisconsin, and we just kind of, got together and talked about it, and we actually we went on a winning streak, and we came in 3rd in the World Series. So that's one big thing that I remember.
I remember that inning because Molly kept throwing strikes down the middle, and the umpire kept calling them balls.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, that was it.
Great. Hey, congratulations. I think our time is up. Thank you. Amy M. Arisco-Gariak was one of the program's most versatile and accomplished swimmers, graduating as the program record holder at all 3 butterfly and all 3 IM distances, as well as in the 200 freestyle and with 4 relays. Over 4 years, Amy was all New England a total of 20 times in 5 different individual events and with 4 different relays, and was all Little East 17 times in 7 different individual events and with 5 relays. Today, Amy still holds program records in the freestyle, butterfly, IM, and with 2 freestyle relays.
Good evening. My name is Amy Golis, and I served as the assistant coach throughout the career of Amy Arisco-Gariak, one of the most talented and versatile swimmers to grace the Eastern Swimming program. Amy is one of those tremendous athletes who arrived quietly in the fall of 2007 and made an immediate impact. We quickly learned that we could put Amy in just about any event and she would race it like she had been swimming it all her life. Though her freshman season was interrupted, I think we saw the first true signs of her competitive fierceness at the NYSDA Championship that first year. We had known throughout the season that Amy was a quiet competitor, getting up and swimming her races without a show of dramatics, but this meet stands out for me as the point where we knew for sure that Amy was something special and was going to do amazing things in her career. Amy is a quiet leader, first one on deck, working hard through each practice, taking advice and fine-tuning her strokes, even her still world-famous breaststroke, all for the benefit of her team. We truly knew that Amy was going to be a swimmer to be contended with, and that the bigger schools would have to take notice of her. I think Amy realized it too because the following seasons only got better. She settled into her groove, which typically involved the individual medley events and butterfly, and always involved herself in the lead A relays. The next year, it was winning the 400 IM at the championships, which any swimmer can tell you takes a very special person. 4 laps of all 4 strokes swum at top speed. It is grueling and exhausting, and you can't be successful in that IM and not be a league leader in each of the strokes. She blew our record out of the water, and just like that, another New England champion arrived in an Eastern Warriors swim cap. And that was Amy. She just continued her quiet march through the New England swimming community. The next year as a junior was the year I was honored to have Amy break my 50 butterfly record and watch her go sub 2 minutes in her anchor of the 800 free relay and sub 55 seconds in her anchor of the 400 free relay. I would be there again her senior year to watch my 100 butterfly record change hands to this other Amy as well. Sitting quietly with her behind the blocks as her race approached is a memory that's still bright in my mind. You knew she was going to go out there and grind that race because you could feel it coming off of her. She knew how hard she worked, and she wasn't going to let anyone undercut her. Amy is a truly special woman, and I am proud to have been able to share the same pool and record board with her, and I'm thrilled to have her join Sarah Barber and I on the wall of the Eastern Alumni Athletics Hall of Fame.
When she first showed up as a freshman, her early years, right away, she was all systems go. She was the first girl in practice and like the last one to leave.
I knew that Amy was, a good swimmer. She was a good butterfly swimmer. But it was really when we went to the St. Joe's Pentathlon and she won that year as a sophomore, beating everybody out in that whole place. That's when I really realized that, wow, she is a great swimmer, a really great swimmer.
She would practice, not just to get through practice. A lot of swimmers go, oh, gee, we got 2 more hours to go and so many yards. But she was focused on her races or her big race coming up.
Amy worked very hard. She was just constantly working hard in the pool, swimming really hard during practice, in her events and in her races. She was very focused. And
she was always a leader, and we'd say, you go over there and swim the next set of hundreds with Amy. And then she'd wear that person out. We'd say, hey, come on over here and swim with Amy. Sometimes we had to go through a couple swimmers.
She made everybody feel comfortable. She made everybody feel welcome. And she was a very, very supportive teammate all around.
She was very competitive in the water, but she didn't really give off a competitive presence on the pool deck. She was very humble, very, soft-spoken, very reserved. And then once she got in the water, she just blew it away.
Amy knew what she was doing all the time. And she knew when to hold back a little for a big kick later on in a race. She was always ready, and she swam purposely. Amy could beat anybody coming down for the last length of a race. She was fun to watch.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to present a 2025 inductee into the Eastern Connecticut State University Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame, Amy M. Arisco-Gariak.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eastern Athletics Alumni Hall of Famer, Amy Arisco-Gariak.
Amy, congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, everyone on that video talks about your teammates and Coach Hassel talk about what a competitor you are. You don't look on the surface like a competitor. Where did that come from?
That's a good question. I don't know. I've had swum since I was 8, and it was always just sort of like a safe space for me, like a nice stabilizer from everything. And so it was just where I felt the most comfortable, and so maybe I was just allowed to be competitive there. I don't know.
Did you know right away, though, that like when you were young and you were starting out, did you know right away that swimming was going to be your sport?
I think so. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I I just always wanted to do it.
How did you end up at Eastern?
So I knew a few of the swimmers who were already here, and so I came up and I visited, and I really liked the small campus, and it wasn't too far from home, but it was far enough, and both of my parents went here, and so it was sort of always on the radar.
I would have to think that when you think back on your Eastern career, the one word that might come to mind would be pain. Swimming is absolutely unbelievable. I see what those kids go through on a daily basis. How did you possibly do that for 4 years?
I enjoyed it. I don't know. I wouldn't describe it as pain. It was, very intense at times, I suppose, but it wasn't. I never would have necessarily described it as pain.
No.
I enjoyed it. I just loved it.
The other thing with the swimmers is that it always seems like they have such a very special bond. Was that the way it was with you, with your teammates?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess we all sort of suffered together through lengthy practices, but, and I guess we couldn't really communicate while we were swimming.
Yeah.
But we had a really close connection off the, not off the field, but out of the pool.
Yeah.
And we always had this training trip that we took every year to Florida, and that really, had us all come together during that time.
It's funny when you guys talk about, you would tell your classmates and stuff, hey, for spring break or winter break, we're going to Florida. They think you're out there in the sun. Just give a little bit of a description of what that trip was always like.
Sure. Yeah, it was honestly probably my favorite time of the year. Nobody else liked it but me.
You liked it?
I loved it. Yeah, I loved the training trip. So what we would do, we'd get there, and we stayed at this little hotel, and we would wake up, and we would do what we called dry lands, which was just, working out outside of the pool. And then we would walk a mile, because the hotel was a mile away from the pool we swam at, which was the Hall of Fame. And we would walk down there, swim for 2 hours, walk back, have lunch. Some people would sleep. And then we would have another practice that we would have to walk to and from again.
And the other thing is those were outdoor pools, right?
Yes.
So the weather wasn't always really nice when you guys were there, right?
There was one year it was really, really cold. Yeah. It was, I don't know how cold it was actually, but it wasn't warm at all. Yeah.
When at Eastern, you were all conference 17 times, all New England 20 times. You left holding 11 records. When you came in as a freshman, your early years, did you see that happening? Did you have that confidence in yourself?
I mean, I knew it wasn't a difficult transition for me to swim in college compared to high school, but I never really anticipated anything like this. So.
The other thing that you wrote on that questionnaire is some of the things that you remember. You remembered the trip to Florida. You also said you remembered Coach Hassel's terrible jokes. Was that, do you remember any of those?
I don't think I would have said they were terrible.
I thought that was the word you used. Corny?
I might have said corny.
Can you recall any of those?
They were, no, I don't know any offhand.
But I know he had a lot of respect for you. Like he said on the video, you were when you were getting ready for your race, you were very locked in, weren't you? Let me ask you one more thing quick. Is the 400 IM, just explain to some people what the 400 IM is and how much pain that is for about 8 minutes.
So it's
what does it entail, the 400 IM?
Sure, so it's less than 8 minutes.
Hopefully, yeah. For you, it was less.
But so it's 4 laps of each stroke, and it starts with butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle. And for me, every time I could switch stroke, it felt more comfortable, and so I was like refreshed each 100, I suppose. And so by the end of the butterfly, I was tired from that, but it was okay because backstroke was here, and so on and so forth.
Well, they talked to you on the video, and everyone always says you were the most versatile swimmer, and that would prove it, right? If you excel in the butterfly, you are extremely versatile, correct?
I suppose so.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lee A. Katnack is the only Eastern male athlete to garner track and field All-America recognition as many as 3 times in running events, achieving those honors at 800 meters. In the outdoor 800 as a senior, Lee won the Division III New England title and followed up with a 4th place finish at the New England All-Division meet. Indoors that year, Lee won 2 Little East titles, was voted Little East Runner of the Year. In 2014, Lee won the Little East Cross Country title, was named Little East Cross Country Runner of the Year, and qualified for the NCAA Nationals.
Good evening. My name is Cooper Goslin, and I have the distinct honor of speaking on behalf of former teammate Lee Katnack and his legacy at Eastern. One of my first impressions of Lee came after the first cross-country race we ran together in 2014. I was a freshman, and Lee was a junior coming off a long, injury-driven 2-year hiatus. While easing back into training, Lee had been practicing on his own and had sat out the season's first 3 meets. As the team congregated back at the team tent post-race, swapping war stories, someone built up the courage to ask Lee how his race went. He mentioned his time and with a casual shrug mentioned that he felt good during the race. It wasn't until a couple minutes later that Coach Menezes informed us he had finished second in a field of over 250 runners. It was at that moment I realized that Lee was all business and a leader by example, and that he had his sights set on much loftier goals that season. Lee would proceed to win the next 3 races, which included the Little East Championship, and placed 20th in the New England meet, becoming the first Eastern runner to qualify for cross-country nationals in 38 years. He followed up with an indoor season that included a Little East individual title, 2nd place finish in New England, and a 7th place finish in the 800 at nationals, which netted him All-American honors. Extended injuries continued to plague Lee throughout his career, but they did not stop him from 2 more All-American finishes in the 800, 2 more Little East individual titles, and a New England championship. Like many great athletes, Lee's impressive achievements and accolades outshone the work that made it all possible. What you won't find in the record books are the countless hours Lee spent doing monotonous rehab and recovery routines in the trainer's room and addressing current or future injury concerns. Since nobody could match his pacing, Lee was also forced to practice alone, which meant that he never benefited from teammates pushing him through the lactic acid at the end of an interval or just making the long miles go by easier. Lee's training was 100% on himself. He never had to be told what to do, he just did it. He embodied the grind and silence mentality and truly let his results speak for themselves. The resiliency and self-drive he exhibited to work through injuries and get himself back onto the national caliber performance level set an infectious standard for our team that we all strove for. What also made Lee unique was his versatility. While he focused primarily on the 800, he excelled at every event. The ability to qualify for cross-country nationals in the 8K, a 5-mile race, and then go All-American in the 800, a half-mile race, is a range that's rarely seen at such a high level. In conclusion, I can say with confidence that Lee is the best Eastern runner of all time.
It's good to be enthusiastic and go out and run your heart out every single time you go, but he really was someone who was very careful in planning out long-term goals and knowing when to run hard and when to run easy and how to let your body recover and how to position yourself for those big important races.
He just knew what he wanted on the track. He knew the times he wanted to hit, and he was going to do anything he could to qualify, to get to nationals, to get the times and the records he wanted. There was nothing he wouldn't do.
He was very, very focused and very driven to make it that national meet and really compete at a high level, and he planned out his seasons and his years and his time to meet that goal of his.
Some of the things that set Lee apart from a lot of the teammates I had was his lone wolf mentality, his dedication on and off the track. He just carried himself with a lot of confidence.
Lee probably was genetically gifted to be fast and have that foot speed, but it was a lot of hard work to get himself fit enough to perform in the races he was running and to be in cross country and to be in like the 800 meter and the 15.
He did so much extra work that it really showed, especially, to be a runner from 10K all the way down to the 800. you have to do a lot of specialty work in between your races.
He had to be very driven and very meticulous to put in all the long hours of training when he couldn't run to actually execute on that talent.
He would come around that corner in the last, 150 meters of the 1500, and you can tell that was all his training right there was leading to that little moment. It was special to see, and special to see that he was that consistent with his workouts, with his time, and then once he got to where he wanted to, he just let it all out on the track.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to present as a 2025 inductee into the Eastern Connecticut State University Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame, Lee A. Kadanek.
Athletics Alumni Hall of Famer Lee Kadanek.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You might have spent as much time with Julie and Tom in the training room as you did on the track.
Yeah.
How did you make it through for 4 years with that number of injuries?
Well, one, thank you to Tom and Julie for putting up with me. I was taking up a lot of space in there. There was always one bench occupied by me for 2 hours every day. I think I handled it differently every time, and I got better at handling it every time. The first time it happened, I think I just kind of almost quit. The second time, I didn't quit for as long. And eventually, it just became super committed to the results I was going after. That injuries were just going to be a step in the journey rather than a barrier. So I think each time just got easier, and I think being more focused throughout the whole thing made it less of a burden when I had to go see Tom and Julie.
Well, people may not know this, but you did not even, you went to the Williams School, correct? You
Yeah.
did not have a track, right? You did not
No.
run track.
No.
And you turned out to be a 3-time All-American in track.
Yeah, I mean, it's running. I wasn't 8 years behind in some technical skill sport, but I'd run cross country for several years, and track was just not part of my experience, and I didn't really even plan to run track when I came to Eastern. It wasn't part of my plan, and naturally, everyone who runs cross country becomes part of the track team. I just sort of went with the flow and had a pretty gnarly first track experience at Wesleyan. I'd never been on an indoor track before. That was a bit of a trip.
Well, in cross country, you wrote on your questionnaire, which was really interesting. Talk about at that first cross country Little East Championship. Remember when you finished in
Yeah.
the middle of the pack and
Yeah.
you made a promise to yourself at that point? Talk about that.
Yeah, so freshman year cross country LEC at UMass Dartmouth. The weather was pretty bad, so they had the award ceremony after in the atrium of the sports center there, and we're all packed. It's probably a fire hazard. And so we're sitting in there on the floor, and I finished somewhere in the middle, and I remember the guys going up top 5 or 7 all LEC conference, and up to that point I had never really made an athletic goal in my life. I was just kind of going through the motions most of the time, and seeing those guys get up there and feeling like, I'm not all that different from these guys. Maybe in 4 years I can myself be up there, and I kind of made a goal of myself in that moment sitting on the floor that I'm going to try to be all conference in cross country by my senior year. It happened a little bit more quickly than I expected, but that's where it kind of all started. Yeah.
Well, Cooper and the other guys on the video made a couple of really good points about you. It takes a real special person to be as successful as you were at both 800 and in cross country. How do you train for both of those?
I think it's largely an outcome of consistency in training rather than specific types of training for me personally. I think what prevented me from excelling earlier on was just not stacking weeks of training, and I could have gone out and jogged 10 miles a day and done only that. I could have done highly specialized training. That was the ticket, and I think it just was, I had the adaptability and the flexibility to translate that fitness, no matter how I got it, into the pace or the distance that I was in front of. So I think because the training changed so much over the 4 to 5 years I was there, I can't really pinpoint what worked and what did. I know what I think was the best period of training that I had. The results were clearly the best during that time, but up to that point, it was kind of figuring out this jigsaw puzzle blindfolded, with interruptions with injuries in between. So we never really got the ball rolling, and where the success really showed up was just stacking weeks of training in any form I could get it.
Well, on that video, Dylan made a great point that said you had to have sort of a lone wolf mentality because you didn't have anyone that could run with you or push you because you were so far of everybody else. Wasn't it all internal?
The lone wolf mentality?
Yeah.
I mean, part of that's just probably nature. I think I default to that. It's probably not a good thing all the time. And it was just exacerbated by the gap in top end ability at the time. But I do remember, going out and grinding workouts on the rail trail or going to the track and shoveling it at 1 a.m. because there was snow on it to do a workout the next day by yourself. That's not fun. The actual good practices were when the stars aligned and I could go run with the guys on an easy run. That was great. That felt like being part of the team, and those were the practices that meant a lot. Going out and doing stuff on your own isn't all that enjoyable, but it is that self-motivating, and you learn a lot of lessons that way. But they're lessons you wish you could learn in a better, easier place.
Last question. Looking back on all the accomplishments you had in both cross country and track, anything stick out in your mind?
Oh gosh. I think one thing that I think about a lot was this random 4x4 that we ran at Open New England's, and I was the alternate. Yes. I wasn't even supposed to run, and I hadn't even accomplished all that much up to that point. I was the alternate. I think one of the guys had pulled something during the meet, and I had to jump into this 4x4 at one of the biggest meets we would run it during the year against really good competition. I had never run a 4x4 in my life. I don't think I've ever gone all out for a 400, and never practiced a baton exchange. And Dylan was part of that 4x4. It was Dylan, Fred Hewitt, and I think Andre Reynolds maybe. No, it was Devontae Chambers. Yes. And we almost broke the school record. We were like half a second off of it. And that was completely unexpected. And I think that was such a fun moment to be a part of unexpectedly, to be there with those guys who really committed their time and energy to the sport, and be part of that with them was awesome. So random stuff like that stands out so much more than just crossing the finish line at nationals.
Great, congratulations. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Dwayne J. Coles was a key defensive player on lacrosse teams which won 84% of their games, all 24 conference games, and qualified for 4 postseason tournaments. The high school football all-stater was a physical and intimidating presence who relished his job shutting down the opponent's top offensive player. In 2002, Dwayne was named to the elite North-South Senior All-Star Game and was selected All-New England and Little East Defensive Player of the Year.
Good evening. My name is Mike Epstein, and I was privileged to serve as Dwayne Cole's high school lacrosse coach. When I was 27 years old, I was lucky enough to get the head coaching job at Brian McMahon High School in Norwalk. The team had a long history of, losing. I was ready for the challenge, and I knew I had to find players, athletes who could change the culture. As we all know, culture is everything in the success of athletic teams. Great athletes help you win, but without a great culture, there's always a ceiling. I would show up at McMahon every day after school trying to recruit anybody to play lacrosse. One day I went into the weight room where the football team was lifting. McMahon had 3 running backs who were all incredible. I tried talking to them after watching each squat 500 pounds in a quiet competition. One boy showed no interest, one spoke in semi-interested lip service, and then I talked to Dwayne Coles, the biggest smile you could ever imagine, and a kid in play high top fade. Dwayne was a sophomore, and he said he would come out and play in the spring. I gave him a stick, and off we went. My mother always said the importance of one's life is leaving things better than you found them. Dwayne is the reason we had success. It was in part due to his athletic ability, but moreover, was from his infectious smile and personality, drive, competitiveness, and leadership. All kids wanted to be around Dwayne, and once he started playing, more kids came out for the team. By Dwayne's senior year, we had made it into the state semifinals and ended up winning a state championship 2 years later. But anyone who knows anything about McMahon lacrosse program knows it was Dwayne and a few others who were the foundation. I have always said coaching is a two-way street. Coaches give to their players, and players give to their coaches. I can never repay the debt that Dwayne gave me and the McMahon lacrosse program. As a senior All-State midfielder, even though he couldn't go to his left, he played both offensive and defense, and was our captain and leader, and was one of the most positive people I've coached in 33 years. Dwayne went on to play at Eastern Connecticut, and in his senior year, with a short stick, he played everybody's opponent's best player, and was named Conference Defensive Player of the Year. All the accolades and awards that go into this great Hall of Fame honor are incredible. But Dwayne's greatest quality runs much deeper. No one works harder, and always with a smile. He's the person who makes you feel special. He's the one who creates the winning work ethic and culture. I've never met anyone who didn't rave about Dwayne and their time together.
I was more happy that, he achieved the goal that he wanted for so long, and I cried, like, believe it or not, man, I was like, dude, you made it, you made it to the Hall of Fame. It's something that you wanted to do for so long.
Wayne found out he was going into the Hall of Fame was amazing. He called me and he said in a very low voice, Stun is what he calls me, your boy is in the Hall of Fame. And I teared up, screamed. It's like, yo, bro, you did this.
He always made sure that he wanted to take it above and beyond in everything he did. Dwayne first started playing lacrosse when he was 15, 16 years old as a sophomore in high school.
And, by the time he finished his collegiate career at Eastern Connecticut State University, he ended up, 7th year playing? We're having a conversation about him being inducted into the Eastern Connecticut State Hall of Fame.
Dwayne, it's an honor for me to be here and to be part of this ceremony, which is very richly deserved. Most people know that you were an outstanding player and a huge part of the growth of our program. What they don't know is that you were a true pioneer in the game of lacrosse, one of the first outstanding defensive middies. It's an honor for me to be here, and I'm so proud of you, and I want to thank you for everything you gave to the program, to your teammates, and to your coach.
He wanted to show everyone and change the sport of lacrosse by being a short stick midfielder, playing defense. And he wanted to achieve it. He wanted to be the best defenseman.
I'll never forget, him talking about transitioning to becoming a defender. And as he talked about it, he said to my brother and I, I'm on the verge of quitting. I don't want to be a defender. But if I'm going to be a defender, I'm going to be the best defender that Eastern Connecticut State has ever seen.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to present as a 2025 inductee into the Eastern Connecticut State University Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame, Dwayne J. Coles.
Athletics Alumni Hall of Famer Dwayne Coles.
Congratulations.
Thank you kindly.
When Smitty said he called you and he told you were in the Hall of Fame, he said it was one of the most emotional responses he had ever gotten in all the years he's done it. What was your reaction when he told you?
When Smitty called me, I was on my way to the laundromat, and he had left a message. I didn't pick up the phone, so when I pulled over, I knew there was only two reasons why he was calling. It was either I was going to be presenting for someone, or it was my turn. So I do want to thank the Eastern Connecticut Psychology Department because I've been to every induction ceremony for all of my teammates, and a lot of them have mentioned me on the stage. So just through repetition and the subliminal messaging, I had a feeling my time would come. So I was like, Smitty, why you calling me, man? Either let me know it's my time or if I'm presenting. And he let me know it was my time, and I broke down. It was very emotional because I had seen so many of my brothers being inducted and talking about my day finally coming.
I think your brothers might have been as excited as you were. Very supportive, right? Very, very supportive family.
Yeah, definitely. And it definitely, you could hear through the stories just the focus that I had on achieving and making sure that I accomplished goals and that they saw me accomplish goals. So they have been hearing these stories for a long time of me telling them about my teammates being inducted and one of these years it's going to be our turn. One of these years it's going to be my turn. So I couldn't wait to let them know.
Well, after it had been 20 years, did you get to the point where you said, I'm probably not going to get in?
Yeah, I actually did get to that point to where I was like, my numbers just weren't good enough. Some of the things that I brought to the table didn't really track well stat-wise. So I did believe my time wasn't going to come. So that's why it was such an emotional situation for me and my family.
Well, I think the thing is that if anyone looked at your stats, you were a defensive player. If anyone looked at your stats who was on the committee that never saw you play, they would say, well, these aren't Hall of Fame numbers. But thank God people like Ryan Rose, Smitty were on the committee that saw you play. And as soon as they had seen you play and they said, this is a Hall of Famer, it was just a matter of time, Are you glad now you never quit? Were you thinking about quitting when you got moved to defense?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely glad I didn't end up quitting because McCarthy letting me know that, the position I was going to play was going to end up being something big. And being young, you want to score goals, you want to get points to help the team. You're not thinking of anything outside of that. It wasn't until on our way back from the North-South game when he explained to me how important of a role I played on the team in the defense that it finally started to click, and I started realizing that I did have impact. And that's when that between that and this moment here, yes, I am very grateful I didn't quit.
But as much credit as all of our men's lacrosse teams got for their offense in the years that you played and before and after, they were pretty good on defense too. I mean, you guys shut teams down as well. Did you take a personal pride? I'm sure when you scouted the other team or when Coach McCarthy did, would he say to you, this is their number one scorer, you need to stick on him? Did it come to that kind of thing?
Yeah, it definitely came to that kind of thing, and I just we celebrated wins and losses together. You can see all my guys out there. We celebrated wins, we celebrated losses. McCarthy did have those moments when he definitely we were keying in on certain players, but it didn't really hit. It was more celebrating the win or the loss, not that as a team we played well defensively. It wasn't until years later that I really understood the impact of what we were able to do.
And what did Coach Epstein mean when he said you couldn't go to your left?
I don't know. We did a champagne toast or something. I'm not sure what he meant.
Dwayne, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Michael J. Garrow led the basketball team to 20 wins in a postseason tournament every year, to an ECAC tournament title, and to one undefeated Little East regular season. Mike's final season included selections as the program's first NABC All-America and first participant in the NABC National Senior All-Star Game, as well as Little East Player of the Year and First Team All-Region. At graduation, Mike ranked 10th all-time in points and rebounds and 8th in free throw percentage.
Good evening. My name is Bill Geithner, head men's basketball coach, and it is my honor to speak on behalf of my former player, Mike Garrow. The staff and I believed Michael was going to be a very good player the first time we watched him play at Terryville High School. It was easy to see that he was an elite athlete and fiery competitor who had a smoothness to his game that is unique amongst high school players. In his first 2 seasons at Eastern, Mike played a pivotal role off the bench. We could all see Mike was improving and becoming more and more comfortable with what we wanted from him. As a projected starter as a junior, expectations were high. He played well the first 5 games of the season, scoring 25 points in the season opener and making our tip-off tournament all-tournament team. And then suddenly, his season ended when he was diagnosed with mono. But the frustration and disappointment only fueled Mike's desire to get better and work harder. Mike came back the next season stronger, bigger, and better. He started all 30 games and shot over 50% from the floor and 45% from three-point range. That year, Mike helped lead us to a 22-win season and a postseason run to the ECAC Tournament Championship. Heading into his final season, however, it was clear that Mike wanted more and was determined to get us to the NCAA tournament. He did just that, leading us to an undefeated Little East regular season and a trip to the NCAA tournament. For his efforts, he was rewarded as the Little East Conference Player of the Year and as a third-team All-American. There are two things that stand out to me when evaluating Michael. One, his improvement each year, and two, his competitiveness. Michael made himself a dominant offensive player through determination and through his commitment in the weight room. He made himself into a 3-level scorer and a matchup nightmare for our opponents. His play at time looked effortless, and his fierce competitiveness and desire to win were contagious and set the standard for his teammates. The impact he has had on the men's basketball program cannot be understated, and for that, he is being honored today.
I think what makes him a Hall of Famer is his versatility, his ability to finish around the basket, finish in the post, finish in the mid-post. You can't leave him open for three. I think he was kind of the total package offensively.
Well, I think in the very beginning, I certainly helped with his development, but listen, by his 8th grade, 9th grade, when he's shooting over me, and I'm 6'1", it was kind of like, okay, I reached my level, right? So that's where his coaching came in. His coaches were just big influencers with him. Between Mark Fowler in high school and then some of the AAU guys just helped him develop.
He loved basketball. And I think, he had a hoop in his driveway with the lines painted out. He was getting anytime. There was a big light on top of the hoop too, so you knew he was shooting around at night, getting in a lot of time and always working on his game.
But even early on, it was all about basketball. He'd go to, Little League practice, play baseball, and then he's out in the yard throwing, shooting for an hour. So it really was, that's really what it was all, you could see early on it was much more basketball was going to be a sport. Most of the time of Mike playing Little League was spent in the outfield, so he picked more dandelions than he did anything else, and really just didn't like it because it was just too slow.
When he got into high school, he was a little smaller, a little weaker. He was still a good basketball player. He was an average player, but with his improvement in time that he put in, he blossomed into a superstar.
I think the big career defining moment for Mike was actually the year he was out, his year where he had mono. He, beforehand he was always very talented, always very athletic, really good around the rim and then the mid-range. But there was a level of commitment to the weight room that he had and a level of intention and focus that he had after that year of mono. Once he got bigger and stronger, he became much more of a handful, just because he was quick, he was athletic, and now he was bigger and stronger.
There's just a certain few people that are, not only are they winners on the court, but they're winners in life. And they kind of go hand in hand. I don't think you can be one without being the other. And Mike was a winner in life, and he was a winner on the court as well.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to present as a 2025 inductee into the Eastern Connecticut State University Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame, Michael J. Garrow.
Athletics Alumni Hall of Famer, Mike Garrow.
So I want to start this off. I know Geithner said we really wanted him, senior year, knew he was going to be a good player. I got this text from our assistant coach who couldn't make it today. Enjoyed the day, big dog. I remember vividly seeing you as a gangly, unpolished beanpole running around all over the place as a 12th grader. So, not sure if you and Coach Wilder are on the same page there, but I appreciate you saying you wanted me anyway. But guess it worked out.
Mike, how did you end up at Eastern? Because you had a great career at Terryville.
I did. I think a lot came apart to, AAU team that I was playing on with Robo, was here today, along with a few other guys that came along with me in freshman class. As I just described, I was a gangly, unpolished, 12th grader running around the place. I think I thought I was better than I was, at times, and Geithner and Wild took a chance on me, and really happy with the way it worked out.
Were there other sports you played when you were younger, or very early on did you say basketball's my sport?
I attempted some other sports. I think it's always good to try out. Whether I was not a very good soccer player. Remember, I was a goalkeeper, and we were getting beat like 5-0, 5-6-0, whatever it was. Some kid just scored a hat trick, and I went to punt the ball back to after he scored another goal, and it went off his head into the goal, and I was like, all right, that's so I just quit. I'm done with this. So yeah, stuck to the ball.
They had mentioned it on the video, but it must have been very difficult for you. Remember, the year you got hurt, you started out really well. You played 5 games, and that was your season. And then you watched that team. That team went to the Sweet 16, correct? Yeah. How difficult was that for you to sit there and watch? And did that trigger something in your mind that said, I'm going to get to that level?
Yeah, and I was talking about this with Geithner earlier, and I'm happy Ty mentioned it, because I think that was such a pivotal year for me. Obviously, sitting out is a tough decision, especially like once I got healthy and I was practicing with the team every day, and all of a sudden, we're making a tournament run, and it's kind of the question of, do I try to come back here, But I think my development that year, really just being able to sit, Ty and a lot of people on the video mentioned like the weight room, obviously being a big part of my development, but I think just me sitting there and watching a team that was so cohesive, everyone worked well as a unit, just from top to bottom, I was able to sit there and be a part of it in practice, which was key, right? Because I was continuing to train, but just seeing what they were doing on the court, right, was such a valuable learning experience for me, and made me hungrier, right? Being able to see that and say, all right, I want this, right? I want to make that run and be the best player and have the best team, that year coming back as we could.
Before we run out of time, though, I want you to talk about, you had such a great career after you left Eastern. Talk about that in Ireland.
Yeah, so it was a journey to get there. My parents, foolishly enough, allowed me to get on a bus from Phoenix to Los Mochis, Mexico, about a 13-hour drive with no Wi-Fi to go try out for a team. That didn't work out. Ended up in Estonia for another trial period, but ultimately, ended up in Ireland, where I know the first thing, you don't really think of Ireland in basketball. It's certainly more of a rugby and soccer country, but yeah, I think, I found the right thing for me. I saw a lot of other people kind of chasing the pro dream, and it's certainly what it was. I'm thankful to my parents and everyone involved to help me, support me to kind of take on that challenge and the opportunities that presented themselves. But yeah, Ireland was the perfect blend of growing up, as a young adult, just kind of figuring out your way, your path. Basketball was, at the level where, I trained a couple nights a week. It was more like a semi-professional thing, Trained a couple nights a week, but then I was also able to start my career. So I worked full time, trained a couple times during the week. We'd play once a week during the week or during the weekend. Got to travel the island, see all the different pockets of Ireland, which is super cool. But allowed me to transition back to the States, because I was there right up till the pandemic. And then obviously the season shut down, and there was really no other option really to make the rip the Band-Aid moment to come back, but allowed me to transition back and kind of find full-time work, and in an industry where, again, I was building a career. Also got to play basketball till I was 30 years old, and yeah, lived through a childhood dream. So couldn't be more thankful. And I was trying to get Robo out there for a little bit, I know that, but he wasn't having it. I think he was in for more of the Guinness than the hoops. Yeah.
Last thing, just talk about, it was probably the last game of your career, right? When you went to the senior game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The top 18 players in the country. What was that experience like?
Yeah, that was very cool. It was an honor to be able to be down there and be selected. Remember I was on spring break with Brian Brian Sazillo at the time. We were playing golf, and I got the word. And I mean, he was happy, but I could see he was like, damn, I kind of wish. But yeah, it was cool. I got to, they really took care of us. We spoke to a few schools in the area, had a really nice, time down there, and I think I had nearly a double-double, 9 points, 9 rebounds. Yeah. But no, it was a cool experience. Yeah, really enjoyed that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a tremendous evening of celebration for our honorees. Before closing our ceremony, we have a few thank yous we need to make. On behalf of the committee, I would like to thank the university administration, the Division of Student Affairs, and the Offices of Development and Alumni Engagement, Communications and Marketing, and University Events and Engagement for their continuing support of the Hall of Fame. The Sports Information Office would like to thank Media Services for contributing countless hours arranging, filming, producing, and editing the Hall of Fame induction videos, and for providing technical support to tonight's event. And also, thanks to the presenters and guests who appeared in the videos, most of whom took the time to travel here to Eastern and show up in the television studio over the summer to share their insights. A big thank you to our Hall of Fame sponsors for their generous support of this year's event. We couldn't do what we do without it. Thank you to the members of our Hall of Fame family who were able to return for tonight's event. Thank you to Chartwell's Catering Services staff for their outstanding food and beverage service, which we are about to enjoy. Thanks to the members of the Hall of Fame committee for their efforts throughout this last year. And please join us next year for the 32nd Hall of Fame induction ceremony, date, time, and location to be announced. And now to wrap up our ceremony, Director of Athletics, Lori Runksmeyer.
I'd like to say to the inductees, we're all here tonight because of the bonds that you've created with your friends, your family, your teammates, and your coaches. And I think that's happened because of as athletes, people here in this room have seen you at your best, and they've seen you at your worst, and they've seen you at your most vulnerable. And I hope that all of us can really embrace the fact that everybody in this room has seen us at our best, our worst, and our most vulnerable, and they still accept us, and that there's a need for us all to reach out. I know that many people in this room have had some losses, and it's important for us to remember to reach out to everybody that cares about us. And I encourage you and challenge you to keep reaching out to everybody in this room and to do it even more after you've been here tonight and you hopefully have felt the love that is here in this room for you tonight, because honestly, that's what it's all been about. And so for now, that's the end of our night. There are hors d'oeuvres. Please come outside and continue to celebrate. Thank you to our inductees.